An end to the Israel-Hezbollah war is now within grasp. This is as per this U.S. Special Envoy Amos Hochstein in Beirut, as he meets officials to discuss a truce plan largely endorsed by Lebanon. Now, after meeting with the Hezbollah allied parliament speaker, Nabi Berri, who led the mediation on behalf of the group, Hochstein told reporters that he saw, quote-unquote, a real opportunity to end the fighting. He also met Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati and the Army Chief Joseph Aoun.
This is a moment of decision-making. I'm here in Beirut to facilitate that decision, but it's ultimately the decision of the parties to reach a conclusion to this conflict. It is now within our grasp.
The Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri reportedly said that the situation is good in principle, adding that his team and the U.S. representatives still have some technical details to settle. Now, the U.S. State Department also said in an agreement to end the conflict between Israel and the Hezbollah was, quote-unquote, within reach. Listen to this.
President's Special Envoy Amos Hochstein was in Beirut today, meeting with the Speaker of the Lebanese Parliament. He gave a press statement after that where he made clear that we have made significant progress and that an agreement is within reach, but it's going to take decisions by both parties, by both Israel and Lebanon, to actually get an agreement, and that's what we're going to continue to push for.
Meanwhile, the Hezbollah said that it fired guided missiles at Israeli forces as they attempted to evacuate wounded soldiers in southern Lebanon area. Now, pro-Iranian group in a statement said that it wounded Israeli soldiers in a missile attack in the border town of Markaba before firing a second one at an infantry unit that came to remove the wounded. The Hezbollah said that it targeted with another guided missile a third infantry unit that came to try to recover the dead and the wounded. Now, the Israeli army said that a soldier was killed in South Lebanon. The 30-year-old IDF reservist from Jerusalem, Sergeant First Class Omer Moshe Gaildor, was killed during combat. He was from Golani Brigade's logistics unit. 3 other soldiers were wounded. So far, 49 IDF soldiers have lost their lives in Lebanon since the start of ground operations, while 799 soldiers have been killed since October 7th of 2023 attacks on Israel. A total of 5,381 Israeli soldiers have been injured since then. Furthermore, the Israeli army accused the Hezbollah militant group of firing on 2 United Nations peacekeeping bases in Lebanon on Tuesday. An army statement said that the Hezbollah fired a number of rockets at a UN base in the southern village of Shama, while a Hezbollah rocket had hit another UN position in Ramya, where 4 United Nations peacekeepers were wounded.
I remain concerned about ongoing hostilities between Hezbollah and the Israeli Defense Forces. UNIFIL peacekeepers report continued clashes, exchange of fire, as well as airstrikes. Again today, and I'm coming to the incident that we registered today, UNIFIL reports 3 separate incidents impacting peacekeepers in southern Lebanon.
Italy's defense ministry said that the Hezbollah group staged an attack on U.S. peacekeeping base in Lebanon's Shama that it initially blamed on Israel. Now, earlier Defense Minister Guido Crosetto had accused Israeli forces for the attack, but a defense ministry source later said that Crosetto only, quote-unquote, had partial information when he spoke.
Avrei preferito una scelta diversa. Ho l'impressione che con questa scelta Israele.
Our correspondent Jody Cohen now joins us live from Renana. Jody, first up, the United States has stated that the conflict between Israel and the Hezbollah is nearing an end. What is the current on-ground situation really?
Hi, Isha. So, we know that American envoy Amos Hochstein has held meetings in Lebanon on Tuesday, and he called these very productive. Lebanon's Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri suggested that the proposal is good in principle, but that some details still need to be finalised. Meanwhile, the fighting is continuing on the ground. The IDF has said that there was a drone attack launched from Lebanon on Wednesday morning. This triggered sirens for 20 minutes from the border down the coast to south of Haifa, and the drones reportedly crashed after interception attempts. Now, despite the continued fire, an Israeli official has suggested that Hochstein could now come to Israel to continue talks. We know that Netanyahu has said that if a deal is agreed, it's important that Israel has the ability to operate against Hezbollah if the terror group tries to rearm or attack Israel again or get close to Israel's border.
Jody, also Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is apparently planning to pay a certain sum for every hostage. What is that sum, and is it even a practical move, and is he going to pay the Hamas directly?
So Prime Minister Netanyahu visited central Gaza on Tuesday. He said that anyone who harms his hostages would pay a heavy price, but anyone who frees a hostage would receive $5 million for every hostage freed. Now, Netanyahu suggested that the choice is in the captor's hands, but that the results would be the same, and that's bringing home all the hostages. Now, the reward money wouldn't go to Hamas, but to individuals who free hostages, along with the guarantee of safe passage out of Gaza for them and for their family. Now, there's no news on if anyone has accepted the offer, but we know that Netanyahu has hinted in past days that he hopes to see dozens of hostages return soon. Netanyahu also said that the IDF has achieved excellent results in destroying Hamas's military capabilities, and that they're now moving on to Hamas's ruling capabilities.
All right, Jody, very quickly, it seems that the focus on the Gaza ceasefire has faded. Any update on the status of negotiations or the ceasefire in Gaza?
So in the absence of talks, it appears that there's a pressure campaign on Hamas to free the hostages. We know the US has imposed sanctions on 6 senior Hamas officials, including targeting Hamas leaders in Turkey. And US State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that the US is going to make clear to Turkey that there can't be business as usual with Hamas anymore. And he suggested that Hamas officials like Khaled Mashal, who's under US indictment, should be handed over to America. And as you said, there's this UN Security Council resolution that's being voted on today, calling for an unconditional ceasefire in Gaza and the release of all the hostages. Israel opposes this because it doesn't tie the ceasefire to the release of the hostages.
Right.
It remains to be seen what happens with that vote. But Netanyahu has said that Israel won't leave Gaza if Hamas is in power and if the hostages are still there.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you so much for joining us with those details. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.